Oh, this is bad coffee. I forgot. I'm up at the cottage, as you could tell by the lovely wallpaper behind.
Yeah.
We forgot to buy coffee, so I found some in the back of the pantry that expired in 2020. So, it's not the best.
Yeah.
It's not the best.
Any way you can like zhuzh it up, or is it just gonna be?
It's okay. I've actually had too much white wine today, so I just need some coffee in me right now.
I'll tell you what, man. I ran out of normal grounds for a while there, like for a week, and I just kept meaning to pick some up and forgot. So all I had was decaf. And so I just drank like 3 cups of decaf a day in the mornings. Didn't do anything for me. I was very aggressive, exhausted constantly, and realized, I think I'm going through like caffeine withdrawal. I'm not getting enough.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It was horrible. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I hate the world, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So hopefully it was just caffeine withdrawal.
Probably.
So yeah, that's it's been busy week. Busy from going, to I sit around, I hike and play video games, to I am training people and helping open up a new restaurant. That is, man, it's been taking a while for my brain to shift back into that gear.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm having fun with it.
No, that's the important part.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I wasn't coughing at all today until we started talking.
That makes sense. It's like when I'm getting ready to go somewhere in public, like in a enclosed area, like a restaurant or a bar, and immediately my nose starts itching. And it's just like, oh, great. So it's just either going to be sneezing or I'm just going to be touching my face and nose constantly. And I'm like, man, fuck. Like, I don't want to be that person that everyone's like, oh, they need to get away. Like, go somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's funny how sensitive we've gotten to that nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I think it's especially for me where it's like, I grew up always like being afraid of standing out. I didn't want to be noticed. I didn't want to stand out. I wouldn't like speak loudly when I was with my parents at the store or anything because I didn't want other people to hear and realize I'm there. So I think
that's very Swedish of you.
Interesting. But I think the lockdowns kind of reinforced and brought that back to the surface for me too. Where it's just like now it's an added layer of like I don't want to look diseased or sick.
No, like my thing was always there's just been such a hygiene, not a freak, but it always bothered me when people didn't wash their hands and stuff. Like
sure.
Even high school, like
yeah.
Me and Marcus kept a list of people we noticed not washing their hands in the bathroom.
Interesting. If I'm out in public, no matter what I do, I'm washing my hands. Like if I'm even just going into the bathroom to like itch my nose furiously away from people, I might not do anything. Like it might just be a little bit of a back of the finger maneuver. Wash my hands. Pee, wash my hands. All of that. Home, that one gets a little more complicated. If I'm at home,
really,
and I'm not like going to be touching food, I'm not sticking my hand in a bag of crackers or anything, and it's just like I am playing a game and I have to pee, I will pee, flush, zip up, get back to the game. Like
you touch the toilet though. I mean, you touch
not always.
Genitals, so you touch the
not
toilet.
Always. Like I touched the flusher of the toilet. Flusher, like the dongle.
That's the part everyone touches. That's where all the touching happens.
It's my toilet. I'm the only one touching it. I feel very safe with it.
Yeah, but you don't know what you left behind last time you touched it.
Probably pretty gross.
It's
probably pretty gross. You know what? It probably has just given me an amazing immune system.
Yeah.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about here and to feel shamed about.
I can't even leave the bathroom without washing my hands. Like, even if I just go in the bathroom to, like, put away the toilet paper I bought from the store, I'm like,
just feel
gotta wash my hands.
Unclean. Yeah.
Even every time I come back, every time I enter the house too, even before the pandemic, I'd wash my hands.
That is something
back
I've been good about. Like my parents instilled that in me from a young age. Like, we get back from the grocery store or anywhere else, you wash your hands before you do anything. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. Especially when you're a kid, you're just fucking touching everything.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different like angles that you see things when you're a kid. Like, you never think about that. I know this because like I was hanging out with my nephew and stuff, and he's 4. So it's not even just necessarily that you want to touch everything, but you want to touch things that like as an adult you don't even recognize as things, like the undersides of like tables and like the weird bits of handrailings.
I wonder how long that gum's been there. Is it still fresh? Can I let me poke it?
Amongst other things, you're just like, why? Like, I never really thought to touch that. That's why would you do that?
Yep. Oh man,
I guess you got to explore your environment or whatever.
You do. I really enjoyed those. What was it? Was it like malto meal? Not like the actual malto meal, but like the big bags of discount cereal. I think it was from that same company, but yeah, I always love those commercials with the guy like squatting down, walking through the aisle.
Those had commercials?
Yes, they did. He would always be like, hey, if you don't like the price of these, and then he'd like get down and like do this weird, like going behind the couch, doing the escalator bit squat, and then just walk the aisle and look at all like the Vita King and all that stuff. And
I have never seen one of those commercials.
It was really awesome as a kid, because then I got excited about walking down. I was like, let's get these bags. And they're like, no, that's the trash cereal. We get the good stuff, which was just like Wheaties. We ate a lot of Wheaties. And not frosted mini wheat, but like the old school that came in like the foil pouches that you had to break up the biscuit.
Came in ingots of wheat.
Yep. But I started thinking about it. I was like, fuck. Do you know how hard it had to be on that guy? That was an adult man to like squat and walk. Just thinking about that, my knees start hurting. Like, holy shit.
What about the Six Flags guy doing all that stuff
True.
at his age?
Yes. At the old age of probably like 27. That old makeup was not good. Like, Star Trek did better old makeup.
Yeah.
That is saying something.
I don't think I had like a breakfast cereal like that till I was 9 years old, 10 years old.
Whoa.
Something like that. I ate oatmeal every day from as long as I could remember.
That actually sounds pretty great. Big fan.
No, I mean, I still go back and eat it sometimes if I was good to myself, I'd eat it every day. But I'm not so good to myself all the time.
Oh, yep. I am sorry about that, lol. I'm decompressing. Which is horrible to do when you're trying to start recording.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we could segue into the game if you want, but I think
we probably got a few more minutes of steam before we can move into talking about it. And besides, I'm going to need to take a break a lot sooner than I thought. I opened my beer a little closer to 3, thinking we'd be recording.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, I don't.
No.
It just gave me more time to dick around on games that I hadn't had a chance to play yet, and that we will be talking about later.
Good.
Yeah.
I forgot my notebook and my mouse, so this will be fun to talk about and edit.
This is very good. So do you have, when you don't have your mouse then, do you just have like the track pad or the little nub?
Oh, it's got a trackpad. Does anyone do the little nub anymore?
I don't know if anyone does it, but like my last laptop had one.
And your last laptop was made in what year?
That's a good question. I bought it from a community college student store, so there's actually no way of knowing. It was cheap, and my FAFSA? That aid program covered it, so I didn't even think about it. I was like, well, I got a laptop now.
Nice.
Couldn't run much on it, but it worked for taking notes.
No. This thing has
and
no
PowerPoint.
graphics card. I bought it because I was like, I'm going to get a laptop that doesn't have a graphics card. So I'm going to be a serious writer guy. If I have a graphics card, I'll just play games on it. And all that means is that I just play Minecraft on it because it's the only thing I can run.
Yeah. Which is fine, too. Hey, you could be working on your novel in Minecraft. Those books,
Yeah.
like, do they even have a page limit?
Ugh,
I don't know.
terrible.
I don't know. We've gotten pretty deep.
I'm sure someone's done it.
We've
though.
gotten like 20 or 30 pages deep in the like communal journal for that town we were building.
And actually, to be honest, never read it.
You
after
never
the
checked
first,
it?
Like, day.
Son of a bitch. Like,
I
I was
mean, I
leaving
did
notes in
the
it
first-
all the time being like, hey, I got on and like did these things and I'm going to be working on that and I'll be over here at these coordinates if you need me. Like,
No, I just saw
God
that.
damn it.
I mean, the day you put it up there, it was like, "Hi, this is a good place to put your notes for thoughts." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." Never looked at it.
never.
Again.
All right. Next time I'm going high tech. I'm going to get the big like light thing going and I'll just do the crawl, like a Chiron crawl across my
There you go.
building. I actually need to find out how to get back in there because I guess I didn't do the migration properly or I had multiple accounts. I can't, like, the accounts I keep signing into, I have no access to our shared realm. So,
Oh, maybe Nick kicked you out.
you know what, that's fair. I was really not pulling my weight in the commune. So, I
Well,
understand.
he hasn't kicked me out, but I'm like the prodigal son.
I think technically Tony's now, like, the leader of the realm.
That makes sense.
His place is wild. Oh, all right. I think we're going to take a break, do a little transition. I'm going to refresh. I'll be right back. I think that's going to be the new intro. Definitely should start a death metal band.
Probably might not get sued.
Probably
Unless
not.
you couldn't tell. I mean, what did it sound like to you?
Just you going beep beep boop boop a bunch.
Okay.
Was
So
it supposed to be
sound
something?
like the James Bond theme.
Well, first off, which James Bond theme? Oh, yeah. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Okay. Well, now we will get sued.
Yeah. All right. So we should probably talk about the game we played.
Yeah.
And is a game, right? It was a game, not like some kind of interactive art experience.
I actually, that one's hard. Like, it's a game in the sense that you are in control of the experience. It's very linear. It is more obtuse with its lore than like a Dark Souls game.
It was a music video that you could play.
Oh, yeah.
We played Scorn. Welcome to the Save State, a podcast in which we play a game that you might not have played. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm Arvid, and my co-host is Mike. And
Hi.
Scorn is a video game that is very, very lovely to look at. I mean, not lovely. It's horrifying and awful and...
Much like a train
Terrifying.
wreck, you can't look away.
Yeah, it is artfully done. It is amazingly... Like, every inch of this game looks like it was done over by someone with an amazing attention to detail.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I think the game... I mean, like, our estimate for this game, I guess this is the first thing I'll talk about. It's a puzzle game, mostly first person, set in a Giger-esque alien world.
Yes.
There are some FPS mechanics. We'll get to that later. This game was a surprise to me in that it took me, like, we estimated 6 hours it would take to beat this game. Based on how long to beat, or whatever that website's called.
Mm-hmm.
It took me maybe 4.5, and I did not see the end coming at all.
No, yeah, it was about 5.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
It's very abrupt, and the way it ends is pretty upsetting.
Yeah, it is. This is a game that tells you nothing about what's going on. It ends way too soon, and it makes you feel like I might as well not have just played the game, because well, we won't talk about the ending. Not that there's much plot to spoil in this, but
I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of plot in like the literal sense, because like you said, nothing's told to you. There is no dialogue. There's no your character has no lines. You aren't even entirely possibly the same character the whole way through. There's a lot of ambiguity.
There's literally no text of any kind. There is nothing that when I had this, or the settings of this game allowed you to change the language, and I'm pretty sure the only thing that the language changes is the menu where you change the set language setting.
Yes, like it's a perfectly closed loop within the menus alone. It's great. It is just a fascinating game for what they did.
Yeah.
Because even something like it reminded me a lot, obviously, of Myst. And I loved Myst growing up. And it's not a direct translation to it, but there's a lot of puzzles that kind of evoke the more simple kind of, I don't know if you'd call them like peg kind of geometry puzzles within Myst.
Yeah.
And
I would say it reminded me more of Myst clones than it reminded me of Myst as far as the puzzles are concerned.
Sure. But the artwork, the attention to detail of that artwork, the consistency of the theme, which is metamorphosis and grotesque, the human experience, like in all its ugliness, is fucking on point. I mean, holy shit, the entire time. You're not wrong when you say, like, it's a love letter to Giger's artwork, because he is dry humping in his grave from the creation of this game. Like, this would be his favorite game. This is all he'd play. And, God, we probably would.
Or he'd get pissed that they were, like,
copying him.
Biting on him, yeah.
Thoroughly. Yes.
And, I mean, like, I can't overstate how much detail there is in this, because, like, you never, like, for this game, like, as I mentioned, was pretty short, but it was 30 gigs as far as, like, actual space is concerned. And it's all on the screen. Like, you never see a repeated texture, really. Mm-mm. Every room feels different, like, different enough in, like, layout, and, like, there's a repeating motif, but you never feel like you're just in, like, tile sets being repeated or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It is meticulously well done, like the actual, like, texture art and stuff like that. It's great to look at.
Yeah, you're exploring this space that is, I don't know if it's proper to call it a structure or a ship or exactly what it is that you're going through, but it is biomechanical. Everything has to do with weird tendrils, viscous tendrils of nerves and veins powering and moving everything around. And, it is upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes a lot of sense within its own thing. Like, it feels like a consistent alien technology as opposed to just someone trying to, like, eke you out. Mm-hmm. Like, it is. There's a logic to all of the artistic decisions in this that, even, like, initially it's very gross, and there's a lot of, like, even, like, Cronenberg style body horror where you're just sticking your hand in, like, orifices that shouldn't exist and all that kind of stuff. But as it goes through the game until you get to, like, the midpoint where you start encountering some things that are maybe going wrong, it kind of gets to the point where I started feeling kind of comfortable in it. Not so much like I felt comfortable as a human playing in this setting, but I kind of grew comfortable in, like, the idea that this is normal for someone. Mm-hmm. That this is just what these people are like, and this is normal for them. And I was, that kind of created a sense of logic to things. And I think like logic is kind of an important part of this because everything's puzzle games. They're fairly simple puzzles. Nothing really that's going to make you break a sweat. But at the same time, there is like literally no logic to anything else in the game. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You have no understanding of why the character is doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You just are moving for. I'm playing a video game. I know that when I do it in video games, I go forward and I solve puzzles. I open doors. You don't know where you're at. You don't know who you are. There is no like logic to the progression of it. But at the same time, you are using your logical parts of your brain to engage with these puzzles, and it creates this kind of weird dichotomy. Like they contrast with each other, where like I have to accept logical things exist, but that the surrounding space
in
around
an
these
illogical
logical
world, yeah,
exactly. And I think that adds a lot to it being creepy, and I think that's to a certain extent why like Myst was kind of creepy, even though it didn't have any like horror in it. It was just kind of odd. You go into a room and there was just like a ship, a model ship there, and like a weird window that went to something you didn't understand, and like I think that really works well with these kind of puzzle games.
Yeah,
and they did it really well.
Where Myst, it was more of like the use of a liminal space, where like it normally you would see it full of life and use, and it's looks like it's ready to go. The library is all there. The astronomy lab is all set up for, but there's no one around, and that was kind of the unsettlingness in that game. And in this one, it's just very literally a body horror, gross out factor that, I don't think it's exactly intentionally meant to be gross as much as it is reinforcing whatever they're trying to actually tell you, because there is a consistent theme of birth and everything that happens with that. But before we jump into that real quick, I do want to say you hit a good point there with moving forward. The very first parts of the first things you see is a character from their perspective, just with a purpose that you have no clue what it is, just moving forward, moving towards this thing. There is a consistency there with just this almost inevitable push forward, which I think kind of reinforces the pregnancy and birthing themes that they really touch on.
Yeah, it was hard for me to really kind of figure out what they were going with for that, because a lot of the times it felt more like they were kind of just going for the like childbirth gross out stuff. Like, oh, why does this thing have an umbilical cord? Because it's gross. Why is this lady, like, I say lady, this body, you have this distended pregnancy thing. Like, it's, but at the same time, it does match in thematically with whatever the heck's going on. There are several scenes where the character is like almost literally reborn, and in the end, I'm not gonna go in there.
No, but there's a very,
you're right. It is
like smack on the head, clear symbol at the end.
Yeah, like I think that they do make it, they do tie it in better than like a lot of other things. Like whereas like a Silent Hill or any other like psychological horror will not necessarily try and like use all of its like gross out spookiness bits as like actual thematic cohesion. Like Silent Hill will have some stuff that ties into like what's going on, but a lot of the time it just kind of wants to make you go, what the heck's going on? And this, it, like I said, it almost feels like a music video. And I don't mean that as like a negative thing, maybe a little bit in the sense that it's quite short, but like it has like that kind of like, I have this idea that I need to, like, I can tell in a short period of time. You have a beginning, a middle, an end. It's more of it's based off of like theme and like vibe than it is actual about storytelling. Like this entire time, I kept waiting for like the doom sludge metal soundtrack to kick in. And there's some like dark atmospheric stuff, but nothing like nothing that really I felt created a more of a music video atmosphere than just the kind of pacing of it. Like this kind of feels like if they make like another heavy metal movie, like this should be like a segment in there somewhere.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Actually still something I have yet to see. My only context for it is a bunch of stories of how awesome it is from my father and that one South Park episode. So I should probably get around to watching it at some point. I've heard good things. But
yeah, I mean it's a bunch of short things. It's basically a bunch of music videos.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Yeah, it's just a good puzzle game. There's only really one point that I didn't know what I was doing the entire time, but there was only one point where I actually felt lost, and I was like, am I missing something here? And it's an early puzzle where you're moving these pods around on a wall adjacent from you. It took me a little while. Like, that's the only one that I actually got a hiccup on. The puzzles are fun, but they're not overly challenging, especially once you slowly start to understand the logic, the illogical logic behind how everything functions there.
Yeah. And I think also, like, it sets a different tone with that first puzzle than I was expecting because, as you say, it is, like, I mean, I won't say it's harder, but it does require more, follow-through than a lot of the other puzzles. Mm-hmm. And it kind of set a tone where I was spending the rest of, like, the next few puzzles. I was like, okay, what do I need to set up beforehand? Mm-hmm. Like, let me map out what I need to do before I do this puzzle. And that ultimately proved not useful at all. Like, basically, as soon as you got to the next puzzle, you're like, oh, I need to do this, and that's the correct answer.
Yeah. You've got this little, fairly large, but still confined area that you're able to explore, and it ends up just being kind of one big puzzle and really your intro kind of prologue area before you get into the rest of it. And then, from there, it's pretty linear. There's not a lot of backtracking or anything you have to do.
Yeah, and the puzzles by and large are I wouldn't call them like extremely simple, but like if you've played any of these games, they will be quite simple.
Yep.
One thing I'll say before I get to my like complaints about this game. The UI is amazingly done. So this has a very minimalist UI, and by that I mean it doesn't have a UI. Mm-hmm. Everything's told to you through like the environment, and they do such a good job of showing you what you need to interact with by just like it'll just lightly, like if you hover over something that you need to interact with, you just get this very light like white border around it, but it pops out enough of the background, and I never felt like I needed like, oh, is that something that's part of a puzzle or is that part of the background? Even like without having that white border, like it's like they designed it to a point where like my brain says that's part of a puzzle piece, that's not part of the background.
Yeah,
it's probably something I would take for granted if I wasn't thinking about it hard, because like there is so much going on with this, with the textures and the environment and everything around it, that like it takes like a very skilled artist or group of artists to like have these things fit in with the background so well that they look like they belong there. And at the same time, are intuitive to me, a human who doesn't live on planet Gore, Tron, or whatever the crap this is, that I'm like, okay, that's a control panel. I get that. That's extremely impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, they were able to kind of blend the two. Like what would a foreign construct look like, and how would someone interact in an alien environment with... Well, no, you feel comfortable. Like you just start to know your way around. You start to identify things as, that's not just some gross looking orifice. That is definitely something I can put my hand in and manipulate things around the room in. Like it is. Exactly. Yeah, it's. Yeah. I was just really happy with it. I tried playing this game back last October, I believe it was. And I was going through some surgery and recovery during that time, and I think it was the medication I was on for pain relief, but I could not figure out this game. I couldn't figure out how to get around in it. It was so confusing, and this time everything clicked. I was enjoying it so much. It was really fun, and at the end, it was one of those games where at the end, because it was so short, which is one of my complaints about it, that I kind of wanted to remove it from my brain so I could enjoy it all over again. I really liked it myself.
Yeah, like aside like one problem I have with it being short is not so much that it's actually short, but the way it's paced. This game feels like it's got like a really awesome, amazing first act, and then they kind of like, oh, we got to end this, and then they kind of just skipped Act 2, and then Act 3 was a bit of a rush job. You know, like you get to a point where it kind of gets a little FPS-y. You've had like this kind of melee weapon that you deal with some pesty creatures occasionally, but it's not much more than, it ain't that big of a deal.
No.
But then you start seeing a lot more creatures, and the game gives you like a gun essentially. And that's where the game really started to miss for me, because I didn't really like the way they did the combat with the first person. It's very like you feel like you have no speed and no control, and it's just a matter of shoot them before they hit me enough times to kill me. But it also felt like it was just there to slow me down. Like it didn't feel like I was really helping anything.
Fair.
Like, it just felt like. And the other thing is, like, when you get a gun in a first-person shooter game, that's the end of, like, the first level. Like, you do the first level, you got the crowbar or the bat or whatever, and then it gives you that gun, and, like, the next level, and you move on. So, like, when you get to that point where it gives you a gun, you're like, okay, now the game's opening up. Now I'm going to, go to the next level. And it's like...
you're winding down.
Yeah, you're in, like, you're 2/3 of the way done at least, if not more, by the time you get that. And then you have to do this boss fight puzzle, which just sucked.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like something out of a Resident Evil game, and I was like, why is this here? This boss fight is
I don't want to get into a lot about the story. That I might have interpreted things that weren't necessarily there to interpret from that, but I saw that as another reinforcement of the idea of procreation and competition in that just me personally, I don't know. This game is so ambiguous that I think you could really find meaning in anything. It's almost like being into fucking numerology. Like if you just try hard enough, the patterns are there.
Yeah, just like a music video in that way. You can kind of be like, oh, this song's about like loss, or this song's about like, whatever. Like you could interpret it in any way, like you say. For me, it was just more of a pacing problem. Like I just felt like everything was grinding to a halt when they introduced the combat system, and the combat system is exactly brisk. Yeah. And then so like by the end of it, I had this kind of bad taste in my mouth. And even though the ending, like say what you will about it, it did reinforce a lot of the themes that you kind of felt like the game was going for. So I didn't really mind the ending, but it felt like it came at the wrong time, and after having to, the stuff I had to go through to get to that, and at least the immediate few minutes before I got to the ending, it made it feel very unfulfilling.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. You leave the experience feeling very empty, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I kind of enjoyed that. I just wish it like the. Yeah, like I just wish it was more of like the kind of like the universe is a big cruel place, and less like, man, that just like was a narrative blue ball kind of a feeling. Like and the other thing is, and this is not something I usually talk about with games because I don't think it's very important, but in this case I will talk about it. This game is $50. This game is $50. And like I didn't pay that. I bought it on sale, thankfully. But if I had paid $50 for this game on release, and I beat it in 4.5 hours, and the third act was, it rushed. It felt rushed. I would be irate, and it even like, and I don't think that's necessarily fair. Like I think that this game, like I said, is probably one of the most detailed, well put together art pieces of a game I've ever played. Yep. But at the same time, like it's a very weird feeling at the end. Like maybe the pricing is part of the theme, It's just like even your money is worthless, and like everything just evaporates. Soon the universe will die, and you don't need money. Like you can't take it with you. I don't know.
I don't know. It's that is interesting though, because there is such a high level of detail that you don't see even in a lot of like bigger games because they're trying to make it expansive and boost the playtime. So there's going to be these long sprawling areas that you go through, whether that be corridors or valleys, whatever. And they kept it so granular, so enclosed that they were able to just boost the detail on every like little piece of a wall. So they put in the work and the effort, but at the same time, I could see the argument where like if you did like a camera unlock and just moved around that space, well, this is just a fucking proof of concept like demo at an expo that you're like, check out what the next generation of things are going to be like in game.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of that where it's like, was this kind of their test of like, hey, are people into this? Do we want to make something out of this? I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean, like on one hand, like I appreciate it for what it is, you know, like it's like, but at the same time, like I guess my problem is still just that pacing problem, because that, like all these other things, they could be intentional, you know, that could be part of what they're going for, but the way it's paced feels wrong. Like that just feels like they like. I know this. So from what I understand from this game, it took a long time to make. It was something that initially was backed on Kickstarter, and a lot of people got very upset that it was taking this long.
Did you look into this?
I found out only accidentally. I also found some accidentally things. So a lot of people talking very authoritatively about what the plot of this game is.
Oh, sure.
And
I can
none
see
of
that.
none of them seemed to line up with each other, and none of them had any like actual source for the what they claimed was the plot of this game.
Sure.
But like it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they were like, okay, we spent 4 years on the first act. Now we have this whole other part of the story we wanted to get to. Maybe we hurry that up, and it's like they condensed down the ending. Because, and like that's actually what it felt like a lot to me. It was like I remember some like there's a few science fiction stories I can think of, or like specifically the novel Inferio by Jack Vance, which is not like this at all, but it has this like huge big open thing. Like you imagine like this is going to be a huge epic, and then they just kind of like end it like in a few chapters, because like he obviously didn't know where he was going with it, and he just kind of wanted to get it over with. And I don't want to like speculate, but I kind of wonder if that's what happened here, because it feels like they were like, oh, we need to end this at some point, like let's just do it here.
Yeah. Or maybe it was a funding thing at that point, or could be it. You're right. It kind of feels a little bit like when I would spend a lot of time on an essay question on a test, and then realize, fuck, I got to do the rest of the test, and I got like 20 minutes tops here. I took way too long. Yeah. They said one paragraph, and this thing's like 4 or 5. Shit. So their attention to detail might have actually been a detriment to them to a degree. If this is not the entirety of the story they were attempting to tell or show, not tell, but show.
Yeah. Like this is, and that's another thing is like vague storytelling up to a lot of interpretation, but well done. Like it's all extremely well done with environmental. There's some cutscenes. Most of those exist to move you from a place to another place. Like aside from a couple, they don't really have any like meaningful thing telling you about the world or anything like that. It's just kind of like we need to move them somewhere else in this building. So
yep, and
let's do that.
Unless my eyes were shit for it. Even the cutscenes outside of the beginning of the game, what sets you up, all looked like in-game anyways. I didn't see a lot of.
Oh yeah.
So
the ending, I guess.
The ending is but I mean everything else is all in-game engine, which I was so impressed by. The visuals of it all were. I wouldn't have thought it any less impressive if they had cut away, like when you complete puzzles and these big things happen. If they'd made those cutscenes, that would have been fine. I would have been happy with that too. But the fact that they kept it all in game, right there in the moment, that helped you stay kind of connected to it.
And the other thing is, like, I noticed this was built in Unreal. The lighting in this is amazing too. Like every room you enter, like it's like they all, like a lot of them have like this kind of fog stuff, but you see like the light kind of filtering through the fog and how it reflects off of stuff. Like every light in this was hand placed. You could like it is just amazingly well done
Yeah.
lighting. Like I don't know that I've seen an Unreal FPS, certainly not an indie developed Unreal FPS that has like this, like lighting like this. It's amazing.
Yeah, and not just the lighting then, but then the attention to the details of the surface that is being lit as well was
Exactly.
all real. I mean, everything was great, from musculature and tendons to viscosity, and how, I mean, it really popped with everything, even though you are in this very dark, dank, grim setting. I was impressed. I was really, and the lighting on top of that also helped identify targets, and I mean they used it in a lot of different ways than look at all the pretty stuff we made.
No, yeah.
There was utility
like,
to it.
This is exactly. It was all purposeful. It was just really well done. Like I think that the first, I would say until the FPS bit stuff kicks off, this is really like one of the better gaming experiences I've had in a long time. It's just a shame that like the back 30% of this game is kind of a letdown to me. Although like I said, the ending's fine. So it's like, I don't know, like I said,
I really
a middle act
loved hating the ending. Like I didn't hate it because it was bad. I just like, oh man, fucking gut punch at the end there.
Yeah, no, like it's got like that kind of sludge doom metal, like despair and antipathy, and that's a emotion to explore.
Yeah. If you're alive, you've probably experienced all of that.
yeah. Just instead of like doom scrolling through your news feed, just play this game.
Yeah,
that's.
Yep, it'll get you.
If anything, it's a little more uplifting.
Yeah. There's a chance in it.
Yeah,
maybe.
At least it's more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good game. I'm glad I played it. Probably will never play it again, but I'm glad I played it.
No, I mean, unless they came out and they're like, all right, we've got DLC for more chapters, or here's Scorn 2. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna pick this up anymore.
No, you can. Your skinless dredge can now wear a samurai hat or something. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, good.
Yeah,
is what I'd say. That's my rating.
Yeah, I want these people to make a Warhammer game.
That would be yeah, like Warhammer, like 40K. I mean, I could see it either way, but like 40K. Yeah. The Immortal Emperor, just like that whole fucking.
No, honestly, that's the other thing is like there's so much, and not to digress too much, but 40K has this huge problem of not really knowing how to depict chaos in its own environment.
Oh, sure.
Like the chaos entities are always just kind of like, he's the Plague Lord. He lives on the Plague Planet. There's a lot of boils and stuff, I guess. This is the kind of like way you need to approach something like that, where it is like, what kind of structure do you need it to make sense where you are a plague worshipping?
Where does pus come into the infrastructure of your society? Like, how does that play into it? Yeah.
If you have to normalize the disease before.
That's a great point. I would love to see them take a tack at that. I guess I've always pictured that as a Event Horizon kind of where you never like directly see what hell is in Event Horizon, but you see the leak out of it, and I feel like there's something in between there.
Yeah, no one from Warhammer 40,000 ever saw Event Horizon, and therefore based half of their crap off of that movie. Yeah, I know it's their own fault for like naming demons and like trying to make like inter-demon fights a thing, and now we have to like imagine what a demon world looks like, and that's not easy.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can't just steal other people's stuff, because no one's really done that really either.
No.
Except for this, I guess.
And yeah. No one else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they fully stole, though, as much as they heavily homaged.
Yeah, and of course they all, like, not to, like, toot that horn too much, but they both took a lot from Lovecraft.
Yeah. Yeah, but so did Giger. I mean, that and his nightmares. His weird, fucked up nightmares.
Actually. I mean, that's the other thing about Giger in this is that, like, a lot of Giger's stuff is, like, deliberately trying to evoke, like, human sexuality and, like, make you... And while this game deals a lot with, like, rebirth and child's birth and that sort of aspect of things, it doesn't actually deal that much with, like, the sexual reproduction parts of the thing. Like, you don't have, like, you know, the giant machine penises like you get out of a Giger artwork.
There is this one little mural, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Area that does depict pretty, like, overtly, like, intercourse.
Yeah.
And then there's more, like...
But, I mean, to me, that was...
No, go ahead.
No, I guess, like, in that situation, it felt more like... I don't know, like, you would see, like, things mating on, like, a temple in India or something like that. It never felt like it was, like, literally trying to offend you with a penis like you would get at a Giger. And, like...
I don't know if Giger was ever trying to offend.
Well, and offend, but, I mean, like, question your sensibilities.
Sure.
And make you... Like, you don't have... Like, if this was actually Giger, this entire thing would be, like, a factory of just, like... machines having intercourse with, like, alien heads.
Yeah,
and like, and I don't mean that in a way to disparage Giger, but I do mean it in the way that they did find a way of incorporating that Giger-esque style without it being A, just ripping off Giger, and B, not just ripping off Alien.
Yeah,
like, they do a really good job of avoiding all of the... There's a couple rooms in this game that I was like, oh, hey, let's hurry back to the Nostromo. But other than that, like, they do a great job of borrowing from Giger without it becoming like them just ripping it off.
Yeah, the elevator didn't fuck the elevator shaft, which I am happy to not have seen, because the sounds alone would have just been horrific.
This game actually, the sound design is very interesting. Like, it's generally very quiet.
Yeah.
And then you'll interact with, like, you know, a orifice door handle or whatever, and then it's very squelchy.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the only, like, real cringe that I got from it, but I'm just not too grossed out by body horror stuff in general.
Yeah.
So.
No, like, the only thing that really made me kind of squiffed out was, like, later on with, like, some of the... They use a lot of, like, fetus imagery, which I didn't really like.
Yeah.
I just think that that's a little cheap. I don't know, personally. But...
Yeah. I mean, cheap, but it might have been... I do think it was necessary for what... Again, through my own interpretation of what they were trying to tell, I do think it was necessary for that to be there.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily necessary. I will say that definitely this is the best use of, like, horror fetuses I've ever seen in a video game. Most of the time, it is done entirely just because, like, we find, like, that for some reason that has become the new gory, scary body thing that our bodies do. Is, like,
I'm picturing
produce babies.
The Forest, that game, and how there's just these little fetuses that like to crawl around and then flip and attack you through it, and it's like, oh, that's creepy and annoying, but not scary.
Yeah, and they have the crawling, like the umbilical cord that drags on the ground or whatever.
Yeah. The Village, Resident Evil Village, and that whole thing,
and The Witcher as well has that one.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
There's a few of those. The one that really bugged me was that because it had, like, the cleft palate thing. I'm like, why? Why do you gotta do that?
Why does that have to be? Yeah, a detail.
I mean, what it is, it's late. I mean, not to be whatever. This game is not lazy. There's nothing lazy about Scorn. But it is, like, lazy artists will definitely, like, oh, let's look at some scary things that are real, and then they find, like, a 19th century, like, you know, doctor's manual, and where they show, like, all this stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm so inspired by this, let me just do this without thinking about the actual human connotations of this scary image I found in a book. Which is, you know. Alright. What else is there to talk about? Are we done with Scorn?
I think we're done with Scorn. I think we have talked about it for about a quarter of the length of the actual gameplay. So I think we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this I actually looked up a long play just to see how long like the average, and this guy was like taking his time. It was like 3 hours if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, that is shorter than Lord of the Rings extended cut, you know.
Oh, that's pretty good. Now I feel like I kind of want to go on YouTube and see other people try to give their interpretations. I have to imagine the videos are all pretty short, like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe tops, of like, this is what I think. All right, see you guys later.
I like having I like not knowing what this game was trying to do. I feel comfortable in the lack of knowledge of a lot of the game.
And I feel very comfortable in watching all of those other people explain it and then knowing that they are wrong and I'm right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have no real news this week.
No real news. I have a couple news items.
Let's talk.
Yeah. So the first thing was Microsoft has amended their deal to buy Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. And part of their amendment is that Ubisoft, they will give the distribution rights for all Blizzard and Activision games to Ubisoft for the next 15 years. Huh. So just bringing in a third party just to basically say, like, look, market competition.
Wow. That feels very empty.
Well, they're not going to give it. They'll sell the rights exclusively to Ubisoft. I shouldn't say give.
It feels empty, and it feels like a purposeful grudge against Valve.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I think that's a big part of it, and also like Ubisoft doesn't really have that much to compete against. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I guess Rainbow Six is pretty big still, but it is a weird vibe. It is going to be bizarre. I mean, it was hard thinking about like, oh, I might have to play World of Warcraft in an Xbox browser launcher. Imagine having to boot up Uplay and Battle, whatever, and imagine buying it. And, like, imagine buying it on Steam, and then you have to have Steam and Uplay and Battle.net going all at the same time. It
is the bane of my existence. Like, anytime I have to open another launcher from Steam to get a game going, I'm like, oh, well, fuck this game. The moment I'm done, I'm uninstalling this. This does not stay on my computer.
And then Microsoft comes around, and Microsoft comes back and it's like, oh, hey, we can fix this. We'll just use the Xbox app, and then you don't have to deal with it.
Which is fucking trash.
Yeah. But then, and then it's like, oh, look, we're just making it easier for the consumer.
No, I have another issue with the Xbox launcher. This last week, I've been keeping up to date on all the updates, and there's even another fucking update today after it updated 2 days ago. But, yeah, if you're just not Johnny on the spot about updating, your games just go away. Like, we can't find them. Like, the game service.exe just doesn't work. It's now like out of sync with the launcher, and we can't retrieve your games. You can't even uninstall new ones. You can't uninstall them. You can't reinstall. You're just trapped. Resets of the PC don't fix it. It just comes back eventually.
Yeah, I was having that problem with one of the games. I think it was Pentiment when we played. Not Pentiment. One of the games we initially were starting to play on Xbox. It was part of Game Pass, and it was just like I downloaded it, installed it, it was like, oh, it's not here, we can't find it, it's not here. And I was like, I spent uninstalled it, reinstalled. I was uninstalling drivers, and I'm like, it's literally $18 on Steam. It is worth buying it on Steam
just to save
giving the developer
anguish.
Money. Yeah, then just trying to reinstall sound drivers and crap to get this thing working.
Yeah, I was in the fucking like admin PowerShell like power user like commands, trying to get things reset and uninstall and reinstall from the command lines. It was so fucking annoying. And it happened while we were playing the last Yakuza game, Yakuza 3. Same thing then. Halfway through that, I just didn't have access to it for like a day and a half. It was infuriating. I mean, shit. Plus side, I got to play Scorn for free. But I might find myself one day where it's just like, oh, I never got to finish it because it just crapped out on me. Ugh.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like I said, I
was going to say, good point, because this is going to be trash going forward. The more these companies consolidate, the worse it's going to be for us.
Yeah, exactly. as much as we want to have only one launcher, it's good that we have more than one launcher.
Yeah, but I am not an advocate for a one world launcher.
One launcher world. Yeah, I mean, the Steam doesn't do things. I wish I could buy things in Steam with the currency that is used in my country. That would be nice, instead of having to use other currencies.
I wish I could send you currency to your country through Steam, which I cannot do.
Epic lets me use my own currency to buy things. I don't know why Steam won't let me.
Wild.
Ubisoft's thing let me use my own currency, but not Steam. I have to use euros because they don't want to bother dealing with currency changes, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just annoying. So yeah, capitalism bad, I guess.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, hot take. But fuck capitalism.
The other piece of news I saw, because Gamescom happened, which is, E3, but for Europe. And there's a lot of stuff announced, and we're not going to talk about all of that because we're not. But one thing I saw that was announced was that there will be a remake of Turok 3, or at least a remaster for the PC.
Okay.
And I never played Turok 3. I only played 1 and 2. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't know if I played the third one. I know I played 1 and 2, but I might have been on to different games by that point, by the time 3 came around. Yeah. I'll have to look it up to see if it sounds familiar at all. That's going to be fun, though. So you
killed dinosaurs in it.
What? Fucking dope. Is it, you said it's a remaster or it's a remake?
I think it's a remaster. It's by the same people who did the remaster of, no remaster, whatever. The thing where they make the old games in a new engine, but it's basically the same thing. Okay. I don't know if that's a remaster or a remake.
I'd call it a
what
remaster,
they did with System Shock and... Yeah, it's to me, a remaster should just be they upscaled the textures and they made it run on new stuff.
Fair. Yeah.
But at the same time, because then what the heck's Final Fantasy VII remake? Because that's not a remake by the other standard. That's just, that's a reinterpretation.
That would be no, it's a remake because they're making it they're taking something old, they're redoing it, making it into something new, using the old source material, but then reinterpreting it for a new generation on new hardware with new capabilities.
But you wouldn't say Romeo plus Juliet is a remake of Romeo and Juliet. Right?
It's also one that I've been told a lot that I need to watch, but I haven't yet.
Oh, you should watch it. It's good. I mean, if you like Baz Luhrmann and you like that editing style, you'll like it because that's one of his first ones to do that. But
that one wasn't Trauma, right?
No, that was
Romeo Must Die
movie. No, that was Romeo. Whatever. I don't know Trauma films as well as a lot of other people. No, but Romeo plus Juliet is it's the big, but it's much more big budget than a Trauma thing.
Okay.
But you've seen Moulin Rouge, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So imagine that, but without the music, and then also it's Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
In 90s Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It does request. It does demand of the audience to take John Leguizamo more seriously than one wants to take John Leguizamo. So
but the entire thing's still in rhyme, then, right?
It's word for word.
Fuck yes. Okay. Well, then I will be down with that because I am always in for a reinterpretation of some Shakespeare myself.
Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at, because to me, that's what for the Final Fantasy VII remake felt like. It didn't feel like... It was these are the characters, and this is the setting, and this is the story, but it's... I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it for news, or at least all the news we have to talk about.
That's all I've got to talk about.
There's probably other stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I do actually have a quiz.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I have 2 quizzes because I've already prepared a quiz for an upcoming episode, which will happen at some point.
Yeah.
Whenever we get our friend to join us. But in the
yes.
meantime, I have another quiz that's just for you.
Okay.
And this one, I feel like I'm almost certain. When I thought of this, I thought for certain I must have done it already, but I don't think I have. This game is called Can I Pet Your Dog? And you will give you the name of a game, and you can tell me if you can pet the dog in it. And by that, I mean you have to pet the dog. So
you
ask it to do tricks.
Absolutely have done this.
Have I?
Yes.
Okay.
It was either that you could pet it or you could interact with it, not that they were just there.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely has been done.
Okay, well, it's not in my notes. Like, normally I save all the notes for the games I make. Did I delete it?
You might have.
There's a toilet one.
Can you flush toilets? One. Can you fish? Unless I dreamed it somehow. You know what? Let's do it anyways.
Man. No. I don't want to do it again if I've already done it. Christ.
Did you make new stuff, or did you have an old one? Can I pet your dog? Like, that is.
No. This is all just stuff I looked up. I looked this up. I found some stuff in here that I didn't know. So at the very least, if I am doing this again,
we're gonna chalk it up to the COVID fog.
Yeah, we'll do this again. I mean, we'll do this. If I've done it before, then it'll be done again. But there are some things in this that I didn't know before I did the research for this. Okay. So at the very least, there'll be some answers I didn't know before, and therefore unlikely to have been on the previous test. So, Can I Pet Your Dog? 1, Part 2, perhaps.
Yes. Redo.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So, question 1, The Sims 4.
Oh, I've actually never played The Sims 4, but yeah, I don't know why you couldn't pet your dog in it. That seems unusually cruel.
No, it's if I was being unusually cruel, I'd say you can't because it's not included in the base game. It's only included in
very
the
Sims.
DLC. But I am going to give it to you because the base game of Sims 4 has nothing in it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's same with Sims 3. Weird how they figured that method out.
Sims 3 was a lot.
Was it really?
If you thought Sims 3 was bad, Sims 4 was worse.
God.
Resident Evil 4.
Okay. There is a part in Resident Evil 4 where you can free a wolf from a trap, cannot pet the wolf. So I don't recall a moment where you can pet a dog in RE4. I'm going to, even in the remake, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I would get you with that. No, you can free a dog from a trap, but he can't actually.
The only reason I know is because like 3 weeks ago I played Resident Evil 4 again because I was on a big Resident Evil kick. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Not Elder Scrolls. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Can you pet the dog?
You can feed him. You can. I don't think you can pet him. I don't recall petting. I'm going to say no.
Yeah, you're correct. You can make them do that little spinny around thing, but you can't actually pet them.
Yeah.
All right. Fallout 3. That's the first of the Bethesda ones.
Gosh. First Fallout that I ever fucked around on.
Yeah, you don't really play a Fallout game. You kind of just experience them.
Try to fix them a lot and get them working is the mini game of getting it working. What I've been through
this week. Fallout 3 was a pinnacle of stability compared to what Fallout 4
I think I have a new fun game. Just as an aside, real quick, you know how there's a lot of these little games coming up that are like, hey, you love that inventory reorganizing function of like a Resident Evil? Well, that's just the entire game. What if for Fallout 3, like it was kind of like a, hey, have you ever tried to get Mod Launcher working? Like the entire game is just getting mods to work on other games.
Yeah, just an ESP sorting mini game. Yeah, I would play the shit out of that.
There is something there.
You have to load it, like, yeah, and then you have like all the little add-on programs to like see what's overwriting other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's something there.
Actually, There's definitely something there.
No one steal this.
TM.
That's right. No, I don't think you can, though, in Fallout 3, pet a dog.
No, that's true. You do get dog meat, and in Fallout 4, you can pet dog meat, but you cannot in 3. Mm-hmm. All right, Super Mario Odyssey. Can you pet the dog?
Odyssey. Okay, so that's the Switch one, where we find out Mario has nipples. I don't know if I remember a dog in that game. Probably was one. It's a cute, fun platformer. I'm sure there was a dog. Turn into a T-Rex. They're probably. I'm gonna say no, just because for some reason I can't remember a dog unless you're talking about like a Bow Wow, and that doesn't count. That's a fucking trick question then. And no, you can't pet the Bow Wow.
No, I wasn't talking. You are wrong. There is a dog you can pet. It isn't a Bow Wow. I can't remember its name, but it's in that Sandy level, and you help it out, and you can pet it.
Shit. All right.
Obviously, I have a lot of thorough notes about this.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I don't think there are dogs on any of the Greek islands. I'm gonna go with that controversial answer. I don't think they exist there.
I'll give you a hint in that I don't know about dogs, but there are wolves.
Okay, so we're getting into this whole divergence of species conversation. It's controversial, but okay, that's fine then. No, you can't pet a wolf. They're too sacred and amazing. How dare you even think you could?
You actually can, apparently. I never did it, but if you use the you have the tame animal ability, you can pet them.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I just thought they'd be used for attacking and stuff then. I never went that route with my skills.
I'm sure they're used. No, me neither. Absolutely not. I always, as soon as I see that, I'm very. I don't know why. I like animals in real life. I do not like messing with animals in games.
I don't like companions generally in games. They just get in the way.
It depends on the companion. Final Fantasy 15.
I'm struggling to think. Oh, well, no, there is. I don't know if you can execute a command to pet. There is a dog that is not ever present, but is kind of the story beat that keeps coming up. I'm sure in a cutscene you pet the dog, but I'm going to say no on the grounds that I don't think you can choose to pet the animal.
No, you're correct. You can ask it to shake.
Yeah.
But you cannot actually pet the dog.
Okay. All right.
Elden Ring. Are there any pettable dogs in Elden Ring?
No.
That's correct. There are no pettable dogs in Elden Ring.
No.
All right. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Ooh. The one that I haven't played all the way through because it just gets really fucking too big and weird for me at a certain point. I'm gonna say yeah, probably, because that game gets fucking weird. So why not let him pet a dog too?
Yeah, absolutely. You can pet the diamond dog. I like that one a lot.
I enjoy it. It's always like I install it and then I can't have enough time to actually get into it.
Yeah, I really wish that the 80s action movie vibe of Metal Gear Solid 5 had seeped more into Death Stranding.
Yeah, I was gonna say Death Stranding. yeah, that would have that would have completely changed it for the better.
All right, and last one, Fable 3.
A lot of fucking empty and broken promises in those games. But yeah, you can pet a dog. That is totally something you can do in Fable 3.
Yep, you can.
Yeah.
You can pet your dog.
Yeah.
I mentioned this because I'm fairly certain in Fable 2, even despite the fact you had a dog following you constantly, you could not pet it.
I don't think so.
But I could be wrong.
I think you can. I might be mixing it up with Fable 3, but I feel like in Fable 2 you can choose to play fetch with the dog.
Yeah,
But I
think that's right.
And then, like, maybe you can reward them on top of that, whether they're going to be a good or bad dog. But that could be me blending it with Fable 3, where they almost got all of their promises in. Almost.
Cursory glance through previous episode descriptions. This is the first time I've done this, so
wild.
I know it sounds like this should have been the first thing I did.
Yeah.
But the first thing I did was actually just a special surprise quiz. So I don't know what that. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. We'll have to listen.
I have to go back and listen to this.
Listeners, let us know. Have we done this? I will tell you, outside of like maybe if we have done it, maybe Fallout and like. I don't think Elden Ring. Yeah, that might have been like the only one that came back up. I think this was all new questions of the same thing. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just confusing dogs with toilets.
Or fishing.
Yeah.
No, what actually inspired this was I saw a GIF of Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey petting a wolf, and I was like, you can do that? But yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, what have you been playing this week?
No, I mean, I've been playing a couple things. The first thing I started playing, it was a game that came out this last week by the developers of Cultist Simulator and writer Alexis Kennedy. And it's called The Book of Hours, and it's very good. And to the point that I'm actually not going to talk about it because we're going to do an episode about it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for that.
In the future.
Yeah.
So, is it Alexis Kennedy? Did I get the name wrong?
I have no idea.
It's the same people who made Cultist Simulator.
That's a very fun game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, we will do that. The other thing is I've been chipping away a bit at the Sim Settlements thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of it has been dealing with script lag and crashing and trying to figure out why my logistics networks aren't working. And
man, I'm telling you, we got a golden idea here for a video game with this mod game.
So, I'm looking forward to Starfield coming out next week, or rather, early access comes out next week,
right? I am looking forward
so that I
to report.
can free myself of this curse, because the thing is, if it was working properly, I probably would be bored of it by now. If everything was working fine, I would have walked away and I would have been like, I am done with this. But every time I have a problem, the problem must be, if not fixed, at least the source of it has to be identified. Mm-hmm. And then I have to go back in and play more to make sure I have found the problem, which results in inevitably in me finding another problem, mm-hmm. which means I have to go back and find the reason why that problem happened.
It's a bit of cascading
effect. It really is just a testament to the fact that I should probably be doing something with my life that involves actually working on these things as opposed to spending hours and hours and hours of my free time fixing this stuff that I have no control
You have
over.
a lot of experience in analysis and troubleshooting, I'd say. Years at this point.
Yeah, I think I probably know this goddamn engine better than most people who worked on it.
I'd believe it. I believe it.
I think I've probably spent 1,000 hours at least in all the Fallouts and Elder Scrolls since Morrowind. Why? It's just all this useless knowledge, just completely. I don't know. There's people out there with model trains, and no one's going out telling them they're useless.
Probably some people are. It's kind of their civic duty to let them know that they're wasting their lives. But this isn't. This is absolutely important.
Yeah. So that's been it for me.
Nice.
Like I said, we'll talk about Book of Hours at some point when we play that, because I have a lot of things to say about that, but I don't want to deprive us of the content.
Yeah. Dope. All right.
Well, so what have you been playing, Mike?
Not much. It's been, I got to play a little bit more of Path of Exile. I'm very much enjoying it now that I'm kind of understanding the mechanics of it, because it isn't directly like a Diablo 2 clone. I mean, it's made by the same, like a lot of the people that worked on Diablo 2. It is very much a spiritual successor to Diablo 2, way more than D3 is, but it took a long time to disassociate the idea of like a fixed skill tree where your abilities are tied to that, and instead use the skill gem system where you socket your abilities and skills in. Now that I'm learning the relationship between all that and how leveling up those abilities works, I'm starting to feel more comfortable with it, and I'm enjoying it. Haven't had as much time this week as I'd like to get into it because I've been very busy preparing for this opening for work, and yeah, I'm having fun with it. The other game that I got to play though was Armored Core. Armored Core 6 came out yesterday, and while
that's why you pushed the recording back a day.
That's exactly yeah, because it came out at 6 p.m. yesterday, and I wanted to make sure there was no chance that we'd run late on the recording. No, I didn't even get to play it until like later in the evening yesterday. I played about 30 minutes before I just got really sleepy. And I was like, I want to play more, but I'm in that weird fade out state of I'm not going to remember these instructions like in the tutorial areas. So I quit out. Was pretty busy all day, but this morning while I was having coffee, I got to play for like another hour. I'm enjoying it so far. Just unlocked the arena missions, so I'm looking forward to playing some of those, and yeah, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it again. It's been a long time since I've gotten to play an Armored Core game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well. It is so overwhelming, all the stuff I have on my plate to play right
There's
now.
There's a lot coming out.
I mean, not only that, but I still have the new, like not Breath of the Wild, the
Tears of the
sequel
Kingdom.
to Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is still, like, I still have that sitting, looking at me, glaring at me, neglected.
I finally went ahead and restarted. Like, overwrote my old save file and just started it fresh, because I never beat it.
Did you beat Baldur's Gate 3 yet?
Oh my god, we haven't even gotten out of Act 1. Like, okay. Fuck no.
I was wondering.
No, I keep seeing stuff for like, how do you save this character? I'm like, I don't want to see any of this. I don't know why you're showing me this. I mean, I know why you're showing me because you know me, but don't.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to temporarily mute spoilers, like in your newsfeed and stuff, where it's like, hey, any mention of this for like 2 weeks, just don't show me. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't use one of those. I just have my RSS thing because I'm from the behind times, and that's easy enough to block things. But, no, like, I mean, I don't know that we're gonna do like a best game, like game of the year 2023 thing or whatever. Like, I know we're gonna talk about some of the stuff we played. I don't know if we're gonna do new games or not, but this is like would be hard. Like, even if Starfield flops on its face and it's no one likes it at all, and it's a terrible game, it's still hard. You know, like all the stuff that's coming, that's already come out this year, is not including the stuff that will come out this year. Like it's hard. I mean, like, I forget that, you know, Diablo 4 and, you know, Tears of the Kingdom came out just a few months ago.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like years ago.
I think some of it might be, and I could be wrong in this, but it feels like a lot of this it wouldn't have all come out at the same time if it hadn't been for this global pandemic that we all are experiencing. Like during the height of that. It's just my own humble guess. Like, you know, I could be wrong, but no, clearly studios were so delayed on everything. It was that much harder to get things developed. I mean, we're seeing the same thing for TV and movies on top of everything else going on there. And so it all just kind of kept compressing into this little window where everyone wants to get their stuff out before the holiday season this year. And fuck, it's just really hurting my wallet right now. I am happy to see that at least Starfield is going to be a day one playable on Game Pass, because that's at least a little bit of money I can save there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also have just been not buying them when they came out. Like, I know it's bad, but like, I didn't buy Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I talked about buying it, but I didn't buy it until I saw it come on sale.
Yeah.
And from one of the local electronic stores around here, and then I'll probably buy Baldur's Gate down the road when they chip off a few bucks. Starfield I'll probably pay for. Starfield I might pay extra for, but again, I have a problem.
There is that weird donation section in the Steam checkout area where it's like, you just want to give us more money? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
That's this year. And then, of course, they'll actually blow everyone out of the water, City Skylines 2, and then no one will play RPGs anymore because everyone's going to be playing fucking city builders.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The civil engineer revolution is coming. Yes.
Oh, there was another game I played this week.
Oh.
Not much to say about it, but the new DLC for Crusader Kings 3 came out. The Wardens and...
Wardens and Warts? Wardens and
Something
Wards?
like that. Wards and Wardens. It's about children in this, not in like you play as. It's about raising your children and educating them.
Great.
In the world of, and honestly, I don't know, it works pretty well. It's not very expensive. It's one of the cheaper ones, so it's not like it's trying to add a ton, but it's noticeable. It makes the raising children mechanic more in depth. It adds a lot of little events that actually work out pretty well. This most recent season of Crusader Kings 3 DLC has been some of the best DLC Paradox has done in a long time.
Oh.
As far as like actually being something that's interesting to play in the game and being worth the money that you're paying for it and feeling like it's worth paying extra for it as opposed to it just being something free that they added for whatever reason. So yeah, I like that fun. It's great.
Hell yeah.
It's great.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to be taught how to play that game.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to find a way to find some time to do.
We'll have to find some time. It's going to take a while, I think, but hopefully not as long as I would imagine to teach me.
It's not about knowing how to play. It's about knowing how to find the fun.
Much like sex, then. Okay. So.
Yeah. You heard it here. Crusader Kings 3.
Just like
same
sex.
As sex.
All right. Well, I think that does it then, right?
I think that's it.
I've been Mike for as long as I can remember.
Hold up. We gotta do all the business guy crap. Yeah. Thanks for listening, all y'all. And then also, if you liked it, you could leave a good review on your podcast listening service, or like it on YouTube if you're listening on that.
Yeah.
And or subscribe. There's other stuff that'll come to that YouTube channel at some point in the near future.
Soon. Possibly this weekend, but probably not. I don't know. It's going to be a crazy weekend. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff ready to go on there. I just have to finish the editing. So, looking forward to that. So,
there'll be that. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at thesavestatepodcast@gmail.com, where you can give us a review, review us, or whatever, critique us. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, like a letter to the editor.
Give us suggestions. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a closed letter to me, probably. Or you can send us a message on any social media service that uses the @ symbol as its primary means of identification. In which case, we are the Save State Pod, sans the cast. No cast, just Save State Pod. Indeed. Alright, so, thanks. Bye. You're frozen, you are so frozen, I cannot hear you, 'cause you are frozen. You are frozen. My internet's working. It is not my fault this time. Oh, wait, maybe it is my fault.